in Michigan. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'll let Joe talk about it, because I'm actually a little upset about it myself, because before Christmas, because it's complicated because it's also Washington State Department of Transportation, SDOT, so lots of different stakeholders have responsibility for that land. And we had a set date, State Patrol was going to be, and for some reason it fell through, and I don't know, Joe can talk. Joe Everett is our community liaison from the City of Seattle Attorney's Office, and why we believe it fell through was that from the mayor's office, they put a kibosh on it. And so now they're reaching out back to us to set up more meetings to get it going again for the cleanup. Is that about accurate?
Yeah, it's, and again, my name is Joe Everett. I'm with the City Attorney's Office. I'm a precinct liaison, so my office is upstairs. Yeah, so in early December, we actually met in this room with the state of Washington and hashed out some dates that were going to be used to address the site. And so we're all excited about that. To back up a little bit, obviously this has been a problem down in that area. First in Michigan under the First Avenue South Bridge for some time. It's been a huge drain on SPD resources and a big problem for the businesses down there. And so there's been a lot of advocacy from many different sides to get that site addressed. And so we were excited in December to get that going. Unfortunately, as we got closer to the dates, there was a request from WashDOT to share resources with the city that had to be evaluated by the mayor's office. This is right before Christmas, and just everything fell apart. So we are back kind of at square one, trying to put everything back together again. There has been communication between the city and the state to get this done. And I think what you're seeing is two bureaucracies trying to work together. It can be very difficult. And so we are, on the city side, trying to push the ball forward as best we can. It is a huge priority in the mayor's office. They're talking about it and considering lots of ins and outs and all the different variables that need to be considered. So it is being looked at. I wish it was being looked at quicker. I wish we had gone forward with the dates we had chosen. I know Dorothy shares that feeling with me, but
he's so much more diplomatic about talking.
Oh, am I good? But you know, it's there's a lot of coordination that needs to happen, and so that's what we're up against.
So I'm sure there's parts of it you can't talk about publicly, but is this an issue of the state doesn't want to play, or somebody's worried about something happening on their property as opposed to city property and liability, or what is it? Because it's common sense is go clean it up.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing too is there's been a little bit of a shift over the last year or so, where the city used to address all these sites on its own. So encampments that were on, you know, freeway property, which is entirely WashDOT, you know, it's not their jurisdiction, but it's their property. The city would kind of take care of that, kind of on its own dime. Most of the case, I'm talking out of school a little bit there. I don't know that to be a fact, but that was my impression. And that shifted a little bit about a year ago, where the mayor's office, I think it was the Durkin administration at the time, had started talking to the state and going, we want a little more active help on these sites. And so that shift is still kind of unfolding, and there's been some growing pains, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
So we, as citizens of the state of Washington, can contact our legislator and say, hey, you need to keep moving on this, help us out here.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, if I can ask a follow-up, so obviously you mentioned this is a priority for the mayor's office. I've previously seen this listed as the #1 highest priority site in the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
The current administration's been in place for over a year and has not been dealt with. Do you know why they decided to postpone it, other than logistics?
That was, from my view, what it was. It was there was a request at one point from the state for help with outreach, and so this request to share resources happened the week before the clean was supposed to start, and for one reason or another, that got to the level of someone saying, "Hey, everyone, stop! We got to figure this out." Yeah, so it's really a logistical problem.
Yeah, just for example, SPD has recovered over 100 vehicles in 2022 from that location, and so yeah. So and there is actually really a small amount of people that actually live there. There's maybe 9 people that actually live there, whereas it's just people coming and going.
care team,
Yeah.
and all the excuses why they can't do something, that's all we ever hear.
Yeah.
So I wonder what's going on with the mayor's office, you know, and he should have a little action by now. I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah, and, so we, every Wednesday, in our MDAR group, Captain Rivera and I bring up to Michigan and Harbor Avenue every single week. So,
I know you do.
so I mean, we've been directed, that, SPD is not the point agency to be dealing with the encampments or big stuff like that. So it does get frustrating. But again, on all of this stuff, though, I mean, I encourage everyone to call 911 if you see a crime. I mean, and because it does move up these encampments up the list, like if there's more crime associated with it, or if it's on school grounds or parks or whatever, that does move it up the list. So even like the parking, like we've spoke about this, like on Harbor Avenue, if you see, a vehicle that's parked illegally or everything, call it in, call 911, because they'll send out a PDO, because that's part of the response. But, you don't even have to mention homelessness.
Yeah.
If it's a legitimate,
Right.
criminal, either crime or a traffic infraction, then that needs to be done. Where's your tent situation?
Lincoln, across the street from Lincoln Park, Following.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, and that's funny because I live in West Seattle, so I actually walk through Lincoln Park pretty frequently, just as a citizen.
Yeah.
And, I'm only surprised that there aren't more in there, but that one and I was just there last weekend, did a walk through the whole loop.
Yeah.
So if you would like to give me an email tomorrow with
Yeah.
seeing if you can get a more specific location.
Yeah.
The Parks Department, if I email them about like a one-off on a tent, they tend to go and take care of it because Parks Department does, encampments on Parks property does get picked up pretty quickly, especially if it's one or two, where they can just like
Yeah, so-
have an employee
Okay.
out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to walk them over. It's literally across the street. I can take you right to the spot. So,
Yeah, encampments that are in proper parks are considered, under our homelessness-related rules, to be obstructions and can be treated, can be handled a little more quickly than other ones.
And so even find it, fix it, but also email me too, because then I follow up my contacts with
yeah,
the Parks
I'll get my
Department.
info. I mean,
So,
then, for what it's worth, there's beer cans out and everything, so.
yeah, and an anti-harassment order is good. We've actually had one community that's kind of been terrorized by this one person living in his car outside their house. For several years, they actually got an anti-harassment order, and that we served it, and then he has to go or he gets arrested. So that gives us a little bit more tools. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, I might share some photos with you guys after if you don't mind, to see if anyone recognizes them.
What's happening with the area on, believe it's Southwest Trenton, right on the side of the post office, by
Westwood
Westwood
Village?
Village?
I'm not sure. It's not on our radar.
So,
Yeah.
when you're going down, I believe it's Trenton, and you're just about to turn into, where the post office is, at Westwood Village, there's a string of motorhomes there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if, again, that's not a very big one, and I think it is somewhat clean. You Find It, Fix It app, or you can do the customer service email.
And then the other place, it's right off West Marginal Way, and it's kind of up in that.
Underneath the West Seattle Bridge.
Yes.
That was just cleaned up. Yeah, because we've been talking about it in the MDAR group.
That was
So,
cleaned up?
yep. They posted it earlier this week and then did the clean today. Yeah.
And now there's another one at Dragonfly Park.
Okay. Yeah. As soon as they're cleaned up, and if you start seeing RVs come, because Dragonfly Park was cleaned up a while ago.
But now
too.
there's another one.
Yeah, you have to Find It, Fix It app, and you have to stay on it. I mean, the city has determined that SPD is not the proper agency to deal with homelessness and encampments and RV encampments. So that's why, like, the Find It, Fix It app and the customer service bureau.
Phone number 206-684-CITY.
Yeah, and then you can also email them too. But I mean, that's what I would encourage everyone. If one gets cleaned up miraculously, then you have to be on it. Like, the whole neighborhood needs to be on it and make sure that it's getting reported to Find It, Fix It, and the mayor's office.
I don't
So we don't have specific emphasis patrols for that area. We do have one up at Westwood Village that we're staffing in that immediate area, and then we also have what we call our gun violence reduction emphasis, which is shifts during the whole day. And so for property crimes, there's not going to be a lot of emphasis right now for those areas. But I know, call 911 if you see the wire tripping, because at least it gets an officer out there. I mean, maybe not right then, but and plus it helps for when the encampment comes back, because then we have data that says there's criminal activity in that area. So, and then the bike path. What are you talking about? The road that where the encampment normally is or would be?
Yes.
And then as it goes.
Yeah, like close the road up, nobody uses it anyway.
There really is no need for parking there at all.
But that's probably more nice.
Right now, there's a road closed sign, so they'll stay away, so hopefully that.
Yeah, because I think that's what they were, and putting the no
Until-
parking signs and,
yeah.
yeah. We do have contacts at SDOT.
Yeah.
Can you help remind me to them?
Yeah.
So, because even if, I think that helps when you do like, road
You're talking
close
about the
and no-
roundabout?
Yeah, it's that little.
You're talking about the roundabout
It's just a road to.
that goes to nothing? And there's
Yeah,
that
there's no
really
resistance.
steep stairs that
Oh,
goes
yeah.
up that are really very frightening?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm visualizing exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
That roundabout, like part of it is no parking and then the other part is, and it sort of doesn't go anywhere.
Parking is just it's on the west side of the street, just south of the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Oh, make that the bike lane?
Yes, just, there's precedent for doing this by the health club, so.
Yeah,
that's why I just-
I know, it's a great idea.
Is that technically West Marginal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like West Marginal.
Yeah, so weird the way that.
No, no.
Go ahead.
Briefly, so if I see those RVs on Trenton that are always there, who am I supposed to call?
So there's an app that's called Find It, Fix It, and you can report like vehicles that you think are like a part of the RV encampment.
Fix it.
Mhm.
If you search in your app store, Seattle, Find It, Fix It.
Okay, how about a phone number though?
I have a phone number for you too, 206-684-CITY.
Okay.
That goes to the Customer Service Bureau. So basically the Find It, Fix It and Customer Service Bureau take reports for the city for a variety of kind of random things, such as a street light out or a pothole or graffiti on public property or parking complaints or encampments. And specifically the city has asked for Find It, Fix It to be sort of the funnel for those reports so they can see them all and then prioritize their response. One thing I really like about Find It, Fix It is you can take pictures of whatever it is you're reporting and it geotags where it's located. And then it sends it to the proper city agency to address it. Most of them also have a specific turnaround time on them. So for example, if you find a needle on public property, a hypodermic needle, it is a guaranteed 24-hour turnaround. Within 24 hours, the city will come and pick it up. So each request has a timeline. It also updates you in the app. So it says closed or in process or under review or whatever it might be. And there's a number associated with it. It's like a request number. And I can personally follow up on that. So if you're not seeing anything, you can say, hey, Jennifer, can you help me follow up on this particular number? And I can look into it, contact that agency, and sort of see where we're at. So I think Find It, Fix It is a great app to have on your phone specifically for a lot of these concerns that we're talking about. Sorry, I'll take your thunder.
You're